What does it mean to soar? Well, our next guest may have an answer. She's a motivational speaker, award-winning author, and has written a book called Choose to Soar, Navigating Disruption in Business and in Life. And she is joining us now. Annie Meehan is on the line. Hi, Annie. Thanks for taking the time today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here from sunny Florida.
Oh, you had to throw that in, didn't you?
I'm trying to put a little warmth to your listeners today. So,
tell me about what inspired this book.
Yeah, it was really inspired by fulfilling a 30-year dream and then having it disrupted. So I've always wanted to live at the beach. And finally, after 30 years of begging, my husband said yes. And 11 months to the day we moved here, Hurricane Ian hit our home and left us displaced for 16 months.
Wow.
So yeah.
So tell us about that. I mean, I can't even imagine after, moving your whole life down to Florida, and then within a year, it's gone.
Yeah. 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 And what I realized is that I could either stay stuck in the sadness and devastation of that disruption, or I could figure out a strategy on how to soar above it and not let it define my dream and my selling everything we own to move to this little 2-bedroom condo to look at the Gulf of Mexico. So, it's devastating. It's still very sad for me. We just moved home full time January 1st. And it hit September 28th of 22. And so it's been a long journey. And a hurricane, I have some company here this week actually, and they said, it looks like a bomb went off. And I'm like, I know. And it's 16 months out. There's nothing quite like a hurricane. It's not like a tornado or a blizzard or all the things I knew from living in Minnesota. So, yeah.
But Annie, life is full of storms and disruptions and challenges. So looking at the broader picture, how do we all learn to soar?
Yeah, a big part for me is like, what is your perspective? So even when I walk at the beach every morning, I look to the left is the water and I look to the right and a devastating building. And what I think about is that we all face storms in our life, disruptions, storms, challenges from business, bankruptcies to, having to lose great employees, whatever it is companies are going through personally with diagnosis and death. Unfortunately, in the last 2 weeks, I've lost two of my dear friends' husbands have dropped dead suddenly, and literal storms like a hurricane. And I think what I want to teach the world, what I want to inspire is that that's a part of our story, but it doesn't have to be our story. So I'm always listening when I meet someone. What do they lead with? Oh, I have cancer. Oh, I'm going through a divorce. Oh, I got fired. Or do they lead with their blessings, their gifts, what they're grateful for? And then that's a piece of their story. So for me, it's don't let your disruptions define you. They may disrupt you. They may interrupt you, but they don't have to define you. They don't have to be the biggest piece of your story. They can be a piece, but not the whole thing. And for me, soaring is about soar above your circumstances. So a lot of people say, I survived this or I survived that. And I am definitely a survivor. I have gone through much in my life from my childhood to today. But I always think I want to choose kindness. I want to choose happiness. I want to choose generosity, even when life is hard, because when I get out of myself and my circumstances and think how I could encourage another person with a cup of coffee or an encouraging word, it makes me feel better too. And I guess that's soaring for me, is not letting it define me and looking for ways that I can still be of service when life is hard.
So what about coping strategies, though, Annie, that we can all use? I mean, yes, giving to others is always a wonderful way to get out of yourself. But what are some of the other coping strategies that we should know?
Thank you, Kathy. Great question. One is really that it's okay to not be okay. Like, I think sometimes people want us to fix it quickly. I just don't want it to define you, but I'm very much about sit in the sadness, let yourself be sad, be still, let yourself receive. I remember after the hurricane, friends were reaching out, good intended, saying, so you're okay? And I was like, well, no, I'm not okay. I'm safe. I'm off the island and I'm safe now, but I'm not okay. So letting yourself acknowledge when you're not okay, when you're going through something hard, sitting in the silence. Tease about giving yourself time. Unfortunately, when I meet people that have buried a child and they say, some people want me to move on, nobody else gets to tell you your timetable. So giving yourself grace and time to process disruption and loss. O is about, I use STORMS as an acronym, and the O is about staying open. What's the lessons I learned? What are the opportunities inside of this heartache? M is about a motivated mindset, and I'm very, this is a really intentional strategy, is be careful what you listen to, watch, and who you surround yourself with. So have healthy boundaries around negative people, listen to uplifting music and comedy, whether you go to a show or watch YouTube. Pray if you're a person of prayer, but protect your mind, because we can get in a spinning. And so one of the strategies for me is, what can I do every day to put medicine in my body? And so I talk about my medicine cabinets filled with movement. Movement is medicine. Music is medicine. Laughter is medicine. Laughing at yourself, with other people. And then that soaring is about thinking about the positive in the midst of the hard. Was somebody kind to me? Was I kind to somebody? Did I see a sunset or sunrise? I'm very much about nature, and make an angel in the snow. I'm an adult woman, but you will see me in snow. I will drop down and do an angel because it makes me feel good and smile. So those are my strategies if you're sitting in snow out there. So, yeah.
And we should stay open to lessons, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, lessons. In the midst of the storm, what are the lessons I'm learning? And what lesson am I learning that I can help someone else in their journey? And one thing was show up. There was a cartoon right after the hurricane of Winnie the Pooh and Rabbit. And Rabbit said, do you want to talk to Pooh? And Pooh said, no. And Rabbit said, then I'll just sit by you. And it was really, that was a huge reminder lesson for me, is that sometimes I didn't have words, but I just needed people to show up and sit with me. And I had a girlfriend that came and said, I'm going to drive you today. We can go wherever you want, and I'm going to drive. And just that silly little thing removed some anxiety, some angst, some overwhelmed from life. I teach a course called Stuck to Soaring 90 Days, and I was talking to a woman this week, and we were saying even little storms can turn into big storms when you have a lot going on in your life. And so that's a lesson, is take care of yourself before the disruptions come, because they come in life. And so if you're taking care of your physical, emotional, mental, financial, relational health, then you're more prepared to deal with whatever challenge, obstacle shows up in front of you.
And I love that cartoon of Winnie, because it also speaks to something you say, and that is rely on relationships. It's okay to rely on relationships when there are storms.
That's right. We don't have to do it. It's not weak to ask for help. That reliable relationship, seek the people that can just show up, that can hold your hand, that can sit there, that can listen. I learned the word trauma dumping. So we also, as other people get invited into those storms, those reliable relationships, we don't have to one-up people with our own navigating a disruption. When someone's sharing theirs, we can just listen. We can just offer an encouraging word or a candy bar or a cupcake or whatever it is we need to just have those people that you can really rely on. And let me just say, Kathy, the people showed up in groves for me, whether they were sending me underwear or they were sending a text of encouragement or a song or a video or something. And those little things became big things in the best of ways as well. So having even 2 or 3 people you can really rely on throughout life is so important.
That's a wonderful story. And Annie, what's the weather like in Florida today?
It is sunny. It's not quite as warm as Florida sometimes is, but it's 70 and sunny. And I'm looking at the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm grateful. I'm more grateful than afraid, and I'm grateful for that. So, yeah.
Well, the book is called Choose to Soar, Navigating Disruption in Business and Life. And I assume, Annie, it's available everywhere that we would normally shop, like Amazon and the like?
That's right. Amazon, on paperback and in Kindle. The end of this month, it'll come out in Audible as well. So, yes, it's a heavy book. So sometimes people say, I got to digest it small, but it's such an encouraging and healing book. And so if you're going through a disruption, it is the book to take with you on the way.
Annie, it has been a treat to speak to you, and thank you. And I guess I should say welcome home.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Kathy, for having me, and to be a little bit of encouragement to all people listening. So thanks for listening.
You bet. Annie Meehan is a motivational speaker and award-winning author. And again, the book is called Choose to Soar, Navigating Disruption in Business and Life.